نحن الآن لسنا في مركز لعلوم الفضاء، نحن في منزل عالم للفلك والبحث في علوم الفضاء. تحول منزله إلى ورشة دائمة وإلى قبلة للمهتمين بعلوم الفضاء، دكتور أنور أحمد عثمان. ويبدو سيصبح الفضاء قبلة في المستقبل إلى السياحة. دكتور أنور، هل هذا أصبح ممكنا؟
كان يوما ما ممكن أن يكون خيالا، لكن الآن ستصبح إن شاء الله حقيقة. وبالمناسبة تم ترشيحي بواسطة شركة هولندية لديها مشروع تسمى مارس 1 للذهاب إلى المريخ عام 2023. هذه الرحلة تستغرق حوالي سنة ونصف من الأرض إلى المريخ، وهي رحلة بلا عودة بتاتا. وأنا بالذات هذه المسألة يعني بالنسبة لي كافية جدا للذهاب من هذه الكرة الأرضية المليئة بالحروب والأحقاد والناس الذين يجرون وراء المادة وراء الأشياء إني أذهب بلا عودة. فالمتوقع بأنهم سيصنعون مكان صالح لحياة هؤلاء البشر المتطوعين حتى يتكاثروا هناك ويصنعوا حياة جديدة بالنسبة للبشر بالنسبة للأجيال القادمة. أنت عندما ترى الكرة الأرضية من أعلى ستراها صغيرة جدا كحبة رمل في صحراء أو قطرة ماء في محيط ضخمة جدا، وستتعجب بمعنى أنه لماذا هؤلاء الناس يتقاتلون، لماذا ما يتحاقدون، لماذا مثل هذا القول. فأنت السفر إلى الفضاء أو السياحة في الفضاء أول حاجة حتوريك قدر نفسك أنت شنو في هذا الكون، وستجي راجع بصورة مختلفة حتى في سلوكك، هذا إذا جيت راجع طبعا. وهذه رحلة جميلة ورائعة وأتمنى أنها تتحقق للذهاب حتى بلا عودة مرتين، لأن الإنسان في حياته سيذهب بلا عودة في رحلة مهما إذا شاء أو أبى.
كيف لنا أن نتخيل أن إنسانا سيغادر كوكب الأرض إلى كوكب آخر هو كوكب المريخ؟ أنا لا أقول إلى عالم الفضاء أنور وداعا، ولكن أقول إليه إلى لقاء، إما يأتينا زائرا من المريخ أو نذهب إليه لتغطية حدث ما إن شاء الله. الطاهر المرضي، الجزيرة، الخرطوم.
Military Industry Corporation, MIC. History acknowledges the deep-rootedness of the Sudan civilization and its supremacy over many other civilizations. Sudan went through different periods of time during which it had an important power in Old World, during the era of the Old Kosh, Nabta and Mari kingdoms. Several thousands of years ago, the kingdom of Mari knew iron smelting and usage of iron. Later on emerged the kingdom of Sinar, which utilized the iron for shielding and armoring, succeeded by Al-Mahdiya state, which could manufacture gunpowder and ammunitions, and used for the first time the firearms captured during the fights against the colonial forces. Since then, attempts were undertaken to manufacture and produce arms and ammunitions. The reign of former President Ibrahim Aboud, 1958-1964, witnessed the first fruit of the modern defense industry in Sudan. In 1960, as a result, Al-Shajara ammunition plant was opened to produce small arms ammunitions. Furthermore, there were serious efforts conducted to develop this nascent industry under the Military Economic Institution during the rule of Marshal Jafar Nimeri, 1969-1985. After the advent of the National Salvation Revolution government, hoping to meet the needs of the homeland and safeguard its national sovereignty, it established the Military Industry Corporation, MIC, in 1993, whose establishment regarded as the real kickoff for the defense industry in Sudan. The MIC has undertaken crucial missions aimed at supporting and sustaining the armed forces and the other regular forces. in addition to providing indispensable solutions to the armed forces in order to face challenges and to develop their capabilities to assume properly as well as effectively their tasks. MIC owns huge and diversified industrial and technological capabilities and potentialities, which include the following: proficient and competent personnel, advanced engineering and industrialization capabilities. MIC's activities are focusing on the following areas: ammunition, different types and calibers; weapons, light, medium and heavy weapons; armored vehicles and main battle tanks; military gear, outfits and equipment; electronic industries, aviation industry, marine industry, vehicles industry. MIC produces different types of ammunitions as tanks, artilleries and rocket launchers ammunitions, anti-tank and anti-aircraft ammunitions, rifles, light and medium machine guns ammunitions, pistols ammunitions. MIC also produces various types of small and heavy weapons as light semi-automatic rifles, grenade launchers, anti-tank and anti-aircraft weapons, heavy and medium artilleries, main battle tanks, tracked and wheeled armored personnel carriers APCs, self-propelled gun and special mission vehicles. MIC provides various types of military gear and accoutrements beside other special equipment: clothes, military boots, insignias and medals, fuel tanks, water tanks, mobile workshops and mobile clinics, earth-moving equipment and machines, and bridges equipment. MIC manufactures plenty of electronic devices and software, military communication devices, electro-optical equipments, night and day vision goggles and thermal goggles, laser aiming devices, maritime and airborne surveillance and reconnaissance systems, simulators for training, manufacture and upgrading of airborne, ground and coastal radars in addition to early warning radars, command, control, communications, computers and electronic warfare systems, combat management systems, software used in defense and civil systems. It is worth mentioning that MIC has embarked on aviation industry based on integrated systems as the following: design and manufacture of light aircrafts, maintenance, overhaul and upgrading of aircrafts, training of air and ground crews. In the field of marine activities, MIC sets out on building integrated systems which mainly cover the following: design and manufacture of boats and ships, building, rehabilitation and maintenance of naval vessels, military naval applications, training and qualification systems. MIC aimed to localize the automobile industry in the country by transferring and localizing many industries. It namely produces light, medium and heavy trucks, other different applications such as trailer, mobile clinics, ambulances, fire trucks, water tanks, oil tanks and garbage trucks. MIC has sustained the country's industrial sector by providing consultancies and solutions, automating and upgrading production lines, besides the localization of many industrial products as tools and machines, mechanical parts. MIC is focusing, since the first day of its creation, on enhancing the competencies of its employees, by providing of continuous training and learning opportunities for them to keep pace with the industrial progress and developments. And it is seeking to add competitive advantages to its products and services. MIC also introduced and developed a package of advanced technologies in the field of management, including advanced training, computing systems, and development of human resources. MIC is dedicated to create and promote a healthier and safer environment for its own employees, to ensure the well-being of its employees and its facilities. MIC also, at an equal level of attention, puts emphasis on maintaining of an environment free from pollution by establishing laboratories to check, measure, and guarantee the tolerable environmental levels of pollution, not to allow them to go beyond the acceptable level according to the local international laws. MIC focuses on the safety of its workers. Therefore, it established effective administrative units for safety and emergency. Committed to its social responsibilities, MIC opted to create optimal partnerships with the community, resulted in the moral and material support to social, educational, and health facilities. MIC helped much in creating job opportunities for thousands of qualified Sudanese cadre. MIC also plays a central role in promoting and advancing scientific research and sponsoring of creative, talented people, especially in the sphere of invention and innovation. Pursuing its own efforts to broaden its capabilities and expertise and diversify its fields of activities, MIC will stride out steadily towards the realization of its mission through the production of excellent products in both defensive and civil areas, reckoning on its qualified and competent personnel and on its developed systems, all with God's assistance.
Since the dawn of consciousness, philosophers, poets, musicians, explorers, and scientists have been inspired by the heavens. This laboratory of the open night sky could be studied by anyone yearning to understand its secrets and significance to our daily lives. The birth of Islam in the 7th century, however, invited an even closer investigation of this celestial shroud, producing extraordinary spiritual, practical, and intellectual benefit for mankind. For Islam, astronomers determined the time for prayers and the direction of Mecca from any place on earth. They produced a lunar calendar and determined the dates of Ramadan and Hajj. For society, astronomers determined the length of a year, the seasonal landmarks for the successful cultivation of crops, and they created accurate tools for navigation over land and sea. The progressive power released by astronomy meant that it enjoyed generous patronage and conferred status to anyone associated with it. With this support and breakthroughs in related sciences like trigonometry, astronomy blossomed into one of the most prestigious and practical sciences of this time. This great success story began as medieval Western civilizations sank into the Dark Ages and a period of scientific and cultural degeneration. Valuable manuscripts and ancient wisdom were disappearing fast, neglected, destroyed, or simply forgotten. With the birth of Islam, the true value of this ancient knowledge was recognized. Gathering and consolidating this ancient knowledge was the first step along the road of Islamic astronomical discovery. Visionary patrons like the 9th century Caliph al-Ma'mun sent their men to gather these treasures from the far reaches of the world and bring them to the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. Here, the manuscripts were translated into Arabic, studied, corrected, and substantially expanded upon by Islamic polymaths and specialist scholars. So dynamic was the intellectual effort of the time that even before the ink was dry, new discoveries were being made, new techniques developed, and new instruments invented. Among the first manuscripts to be translated were Eratosthenes' calculations of the circumference of the earth, and Ptolemy's great work known as the Almagest to Arabic scholars. In this book, which formed the basis for cosmology for the next 500 years, Ptolemy described the movements and pathways of a geocentric universe. As Arabic was commonly spoken and written by most Muslims, sharing this newly found knowledge knew no boundaries. Islamic scholars soon distinguished themselves through their empirical, practical, and integrated approach to research. This led to a new era of achievement, in which the blossoming of many related sciences such as geometry, trigonometry, navigation, cartography, instrument making, and even agriculture would redefine astronomy and set it on a new path of progress and innovation. The Caliph al-Ma'mun was astronomy's first great patron and a key architect of this new era. He was the first person to create and build a formal observatory with a library, study, accommodation, and instrumentation workshop. His idea of a large fixed working observatory with dedicated scholars that worked with focus to produce detailed astronomical tables, accurate star charts, calculations of the position of the planets, lunar phases and eclipses, accurate estimates of the diameter, circumference, and inclination of the Earth, as well as information for calendars, was truly novel for the time. He built the first observatory in Baghdad, and a second soon followed in Damascus. Other sophisticated Islamic observatories followed later, like the Maraha Observatory, founded by Hulagu Khan in the 13th century in Iran, the Ulugh Beg Observatory in the 15th century in Samarkand, the Malik Shah Observatory of Isfahan, the Tabriz Observatory of Ghazan Khan, and the short-lived Istanbul Observatory, established in the 16th century by Taqi al-Din. A strong focus at the observatories was the development of better and more accurate instruments for astronomy, geodesy, and navigation. These instruments included the sextant and quadrant used to measure the altitude and movement of celestial objects, the universal and Fakhri and spherical astrolabes, 2- and 3-dimensional models of the heavens that help determine the time of day and the position of Mecca from any place on Earth, the navigational compass, the celestial and terrestrial globes, and the armillary sphere, a series of concentric rings that showed how the universe worked. Islamic scholars were the real pioneers of huge observational instruments that dramatically reduced the margin for error. The observatory at Damascus had a 6.1-meter quadrant and a 17-meter sextant. The Maraha Observatory also had many large instruments including quadrants, armillary spheres, and astrolabes. So who were some of the great Islamic minds of this golden age that unlocked heaven's secrets and plotted the celestial paths of moons, comets, planets, and stars? Al-Battani, born in Haran, Turkey, worked in Baghdad. As an astronomer and mathematician, he compiled the Sabian tables, which would influence astronomy for centuries. He predicted new moons and eclipses, calculated the length of the year, and explained the phenomenon of parallax. He also recognized that our solar system moves through space and, as a result, made significant amendments to Ptolemy's observations. Al-Farghani worked in Farghana, Transoxiana, as an astronomer and surgeon. He was the first to explain the mathematical basis of the functioning of the astrolabe and corrected errors in earlier astrolabes. He calculated the distances of planets, the moon and stars from the Earth. Abdurrahman al-Sufi worked in Isfahan, Iran. In 964, he described the first galaxy known outside our own, the Andromeda Galaxy. He wrote extensively on the astrolabe and star positions, their sizes and colors. Ibn Yunus worked in Fustat, Cairo, Egypt, and compiled the Hikmat tablets. Using a large astrolabe nearly 1.4 meters in diameter, he recorded over 10,000 entries for the sun's position over a 30-year period. Born in Iran, a hotspot for early astronomers, Al-Biruni was a classic polymath with expertise in mathematics, astronomy, geography, pharmacology, physics, and geosciences. Amongst his many discoveries, he observed that the Earth revolves around its own axis, calculated the Earth's circumference, and accurately determined the direction of Mecca from any point on the globe. Al-Zarqali worked in Toledo, Spain, and compiled the famous Toledan tables. He developed a sophisticated astrolabe called the Safiha that could be used at any location. Jabir ibn Aflah worked in Seville, Spain, as an astronomer and mathematician. He was highly skilled in spherical trigonometry and designed a portable celestial sphere, today known as a torquitum, for measuring celestial coordinates. Ibn Rushd worked as a philosopher, physician, judge, and astronomer in Córdoba, Spain. Not only was he one of the most famous Muslim medical doctors, but he also discovered sunspots. Ibn al-Shatir al-Muqit worked in Damascus, Syria, as a timekeeper and astronomer at the Umayyad Mosque. He made many corrections to Ptolemy's calculations on the movement of the moon. These astronomers were some of the greatest minds of the time, and their models, treatises, catalogues, and inventions laid the foundations for the giants of the European Renaissance. Nicholas Copernicus frequently referred to the works of Al-Battani and Al-Zarqali in his famous book De Revolutionibus. Tycho Brahe rediscovered the third equality of the moon's motion 600 years after Al-Busjani had documented the same observation. Johannes Kepler utilized the works of many Islamic astronomers in the development of his laws of planetary motion. And Galileo Galilei and Isaac Newton's proposals of an early theory of gravity followed on from the work of Al-Biruni and later Al-Haytham. Today, the rich legacy of these Islamic greats lives on in the 13 features of the moon, named after Arabic astronomers, in the 165 stars with Arabic names, and in the many astronomical terms like zenith, azimuth, apogee, and qibla, all derived from Arabic words. As we reach deeper into the mysteries of the universe, we owe much to these early pioneers of astronomy, who, in their fearless quest for knowledge, laid the foundations for modern-day astronomy and space science.